Good afternoon, everybody. Today, I want to continue our discussion of DNA and how it affects us all. Let's start with a quick review of last week's lecture. As I hope you remember, DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the material that carries genetic information in living things. It is divided into units called genes. You have about 20,000 to 25,000 of them, by the way. Half from your father and half from your mother. And these genes determine your hair colour, eye colour, height, and other physical features. Genes are passed from one generation to the next. So if everyone in your family is tall, there's a good chance that you're tall too. If your mum and dad both wear glasses, you probably do too. We can say that it's in our genes. But what I really want to talk about in this lecture is personality. Everyone has different personalities. Adriana might be shy. She hates speaking in front of a group. Divya is a risk taker, while Jose is more cautious. Trang is caring and wants to help others. But where do these personality traits come from? Do they come from your DNA, like your shoe size or hair colour, or are you more influenced by the environment you grew up in? Researchers have spent decades investigating this question, and I'll tell you right now, there is no easy answer to this. We can start by looking at 3 key questions. First, do children who share DNA have the same personalities? A lot of interesting research has been done with identical twins who share the same DNA. Would you expect identical twins to have the same personality features? Well, this is a question that has interested scientists for a long time. A 20-year research project from 1979 to 1999 showed that identical twins who grew up in different homes have about 50% of the same personality features, and 50% different. This really gives us no definite answer. So while there may be a link between genetics and personality, it isn't a very clear one. The second question we can ask is, does personality change as we get older? If we believe that personality is the result of DNA, we assume that it is determined at birth and doesn't change. On the other hand, if we recognize the importance of environment, we can assume that our personality is the result of our experiences. Scientists used to assume that personality did not change. If you're shy as a child, you stay shy as an adult. Scientists now generally accept that personality can change. Let's take the example of a child who grows up in a family where there is no praise, only criticism. She never hears, "Well done." She only hears, "You must do better next time." That child grows up thinking she is not good enough and will never succeed in anything. As a teenager, she is uncomfortable speaking in front of others in case she says something stupid. As she grows up, goes to college, and does well in her courses, she becomes more confident and much more comfortable with group situations. Her personality has changed. You might wonder whether this is really a change in personality, or whether she has just learned to adapt to new situations. Scientists don't always agree, and we don't know for sure if it was a personality change or an adaptation. Okay, now let's ask our third question. If personality is largely environmental, how do children from loving families become criminals? Do they have some hidden gene that makes them do bad things? Most people argue that if a person ends up as a criminal, it's most likely because they've met the wrong people, or because their circumstances are so terrible that they end up doing something illegal. So, in addition to family life, circumstances are important in personality. Do our genetics limit what we can do? Some people might say yes. They argue that since some aspects of personality are genetic, you might not have the genetic material to become a lawyer or a professional athlete, for example. But this belief could lead to a dangerous situation if schools use DNA tests to evaluate students. We need to be very cautious when we're talking about DNA and personality. Fortunately, schools do not give DNA tests to kids and then tell them to become lawyers or car mechanics or whatever. I think we can end by saying that everyone has a unique combination of personality features. It's probably accurate to say that our personality is somewhat influenced by our DNA, but it also has a lot to do with other factors. We know that people change as they get older. Some of you have seen that in your own personalities. We also know that people are influenced by their environment, the circumstances they're exposed to, their parents, the neighborhood they grow up in, their education, the friends they make. And perhaps the biggest lesson here is that our personalities are not limited by our genes.